Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sober Cruise podcast. My name's Martin, and as always, I'm joined by Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Martin. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I've been up a mountain this morning, so I'm feeling very refreshed and ready for the evening ahead. It's New Year's Eve, the end of 2025. So looking forward to next year.
Yes, and looking forward to the Sober Cruise in August as well. I think that's going to be one of the highlights of the year, isn't it?
It is.
Indeed, yeah. Yes, excellent. So on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the ports that we could be visiting on the Sober Cruise. So we did actually hand pick this particular cruise. One because of obviously Virgin Voyages, but when we kind of narrowed it down, we had a look at the different itineraries, and we both really loved this one. We thought these ports really stands out, don't they?
They do, yeah. There's a great mix of cities and countryside and just some magnificent scenery and some magnificent little towns. They are going to be a lovely set. And of course, as we were talking beforehand, one or the other of us has been to each of these sports, so we will be able to talk about them with some level of expertise.
Yes, and also there'd be excursions available through Virgin Voyages, for example, at each of them as well. So you can go and explore everything that these amazing ports have to offer. Now, sometimes there's stuff to do around the port itself, and sometimes slightly kind of further afield. And we'll get into that as we get into the podcast. But I think yeah, we're in for a real treat with these amazing ports. I think there's a few. Which one are you most looking forward to?
I think I'm looking forward to La Spezia, because I've not been to that town before, but I've been to that area before. And the last time we were there, we went to Genoa and a lovely little place called Rapello, a little seaside town. And we took a day trip to Portofino. And Portofino is just one of those magical places that everybody should get to at least once.
Yeah, I think I'm exactly the same. Anything anywhere in Italy to me is always going to be top of my list of places to go to. I absolutely love going to Italy, so I think we're going to have the same pull that we're going to making sure we spend as much time as possible ashore. So the first port, obviously, we're going to be starting at is Barcelona. Now, a lot of people have been to Barcelona quite a few times, either on city breaks or to go on to another cruise. I've taken quite a few cruises, quite a few Virgin Voyages cruises from Barcelona. In fact, actually, that's where we went on our transatlantic cruise. We started in Barcelona. So I think most people that are coming with us onto the Sober Cruise will be staying at least one night beforehand. And we have picked a really nice hotel. It's about because the hotel I stayed at last time, it's about a 10-minute walk down to the port, 10, maybe 15 minutes walk down to the port. So it was really nice and easy to go down. Now, the good thing is if you book with us and you book to stay in that particular hotel, we're actually going to include transfers so you don't have to walk. I just like walking everywhere. And I only had a small suitcase with me, so that's fine. But if you've got a lot of luggage, the last thing you want to be doing is casting it along the quite bumpy
Yes, there is a very long bridge, if I remember. So
yeah.
walking's probably not practical unless you've just got hand luggage.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, is the first time I got on board Virgin Voyages from Barcelona, it was at the port, the first one that I walked down to. Now, I could have taken the bus. The Virgin Voyages did have a bus that went from that port down to the actual cruise terminal, but I decided it was a nice day and had a while, so I'll walk down, completely forgetting that there's a huge flyover bridge that you have to walk over to get to the other side. So, and it was quite sunny that day. So, yeah, that's why next time we will be taking transfers from the hotel. So, yes. So, Barcelona, I don't think we need to sort of talk too much about Barcelona because it's one of those places I think most people have been to. But embarkation, do you want to give us your sort of impressions of your first time going on Virgin Voyages, how the embarkation went?
Yes, like a lot of things that Virgin do, they do them very, very well. Now, a lot of other cruise lines, they just say arrive at such and such a time, and it's a little bit of a free for all. But with Virgin Voyages, it's very, very disciplined. If you book it at a check-in time of 2:30, then you will be getting on the ship at 2:30. There's no point in arriving at 1:30 because they're not going to let you on. So the first thing to remember with the embarkation process is that you do need to book the time before you board. So what we suggest to people is as soon as you've got your cabin showing in the app, then book your embarkation time as part of the check-in process. So it brings you through this nice little process where you enter your passport details and then you enter your credit card details. And then once you've done those two things, it allows you to go in and pick a time. The times tend to start from about 2 o'clock and they run all the way through to about 4:30. So what we'll be doing is encouraging people to book as close to 2 o'clock as possible. So 2:15, 2:30 are probably the most likely times to be available. When you do arrive at the port, the first thing you'll notice when you get off out of your taxi or out of your bus is that towards the right-hand side of the door, there will be people queuing up with luggage. So that's the first thing you need to do is drop off your luggage. Now, Virgin will send you an email in advance with your luggage tags, inviting you to print off your luggage tags, attach these to your cases. In fact, you don't need to do this at all, really.
I never done that. I just turn up and give them, because you just show on the app your cabin number. So either if you've memorized it, which I had a really easy to remember cabin number last time, so I memorized it quite quickly. But if you don't know it, you just show the app and they just write it.
They will write it all for you, yes. So they will take cases. Funnily enough, they will not take knapsacks. Your knapsack will have to come on through security with you. They will ask you, do you have your passport? Now, they don't want to see your passport. They just want to make sure that you haven't put it into your luggage. And because this does happen that people leave their passports in their luggage. The luggage goes on the ship and they arrive to check in and they've no passport with them. And of course, if you arrive to check in and you haven't got your passport, you're not getting on that ship. Your luggage is getting on the ship, but you are not. So make sure you keep your passport with you at all times. So once you've left the queue for the luggage, if you look towards the left-hand side of the main door, you'll see what looks like a taxi rank, effectively, because I think it is a taxi rank. And what happens there is that they tend to then have two queues. So they'll have a queue for 2 o'clock, and they'll have a queue for 2:15. So if you're in the 2:15 queue, then you basically just join that queue. At 2:15 on the dot, they will start letting people through. And you go through the security, like an airport security scanner, and then you're ushered through to see somebody at the desk who will effectively might take a photograph of you if your original photograph wasn't good enough, but will hand you your little bracelet, which is your key to everything. It's key to the room and key to anything that you want to buy on board. What you will be surprised by is how quickly you get on board. I think. Yeah, I think I got through. I was at a 2:15. At 2:14, I was at the end of a very long queue of people. At 2:16, I was going through the door, and I think by 2:25, I was on the ship. It was absolutely amazing how quickly they get people through. And once you get on the ship, then the only thing left you have to do is watch the safety video, and then go to part of the safety video. It'll tell you where you need to go. So it'll be somewhere like the grounds club or the casino, and you have to go there and get yourself buzzed in to say that you've been on the ship and that you've watched the video. And what I was very surprised by was that they asked me questions about the video to make sure that I had watched it. And I was luckily able to come somewhere close to a coherent answer. But once you've done that, once you've watched the video and once you've gone to your muster station and had your wristband buzzed in, you're then free to do whatever you like. And for most people, that will be to go to the galley and get something to eat.
I was about to say yes, but for much including me, it's the first place to go to is up to the galley to go and get some food, because it's just after lunchtime. I've had breakfast at the hotel, so it's kind of getting on to lunchtime. You want to get into the swing of things, getting into, the rhythm of being on a cruise. So yeah, straight up to the galley. Maybe go and sit outside, have a little wander around. If you're first time on board, obviously go and get like your bearings, where everything. Little tip: pretty much all cruise ships have done like this. Fun at the front, food at the back. So if you're at the back of the ship, generally, apart from obviously where the cabins are, that's generally where most of the restaurants are. And then the funds of things like the manor, the red room, that kind of stuff, more at the front of the ship. So yeah,
Yes. I have never thought of it like that, but I'm just trying to check through all the different cruise ships in my mind when you're saying that, and that is actually true. Yes.
they're all
S
exactly the same. They all
yeah.
put the buffet at the back.
Yeah,
They put
certainly the
the
theater's always at the front, so there's probably some reason for that, but, yeah, the
Palace. It's probably something to do with that. But yeah, that's pretty much the easiest way of doing it. So if you're not sure, just think, okay, if I want food, I need to go to the back of the ship, basically. If I want, and then everything else just tends to be in the middle. So it's a nice, easy way of doing it. So set sail. It's great because there's a really nice sailaway party up on the top deck. Now, what I kind of like to do is if I've got on board early, is I actually go and grab a Coke Zero and I go and sit in one of the jacuzzis just to sort of get really into holiday mood. But we're kind of going on to other things because we're talking about the ports here. So our first port of call is Palma de Mallorca, which you've been to quite recently, haven't you?
I have, yes, I was in Palma de Mallorca in September, we went for a week, and we were staying in quite a very nice hotel just outside of Magaluf, and we went to Palma de Mallorca, just for one day. I was very surprised at how nice Palma de Mallorca is. I was expecting it to be just well, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it's just a lovely Spanish city. Reminded me quite a lot of Malaga, if you've ever been there. Um, it is really, really very nice. The I guess the single biggest tourist attraction in Palma is the cathedral. The cathedral is just magnificent. Now, you do need to pay to get into the cathedral. It's about €10, but you can book online. Um, but once you've done the cathedral, really, also a little palace you can go and visit. There's also some Moroccan baths you can go and visit. But it really, it's a nice place just to walk around. That there's a very nice old town, there's a very nice modern bit with lots of shopping. So it's a kind of a really really nice place to just spend 3 or 4 hours in, And if you want to see the rest of the island, because I know we will be there from sort of 8 o'clock in the morning to about 6 o'clock in the evening, then you could get a taxi. But I'm not off the places we're going. I would suspect that Mallorca is probably the least interesting, in terms of outside of Palma. I don't know if you agree with that, but it's if it were me going, I would spend my time in the city and not really try to not fear outside the city too much.
Yeah, I think I've been to Mallorca quite a few times in the last few years. And I'd probably say that yeah, once you've done the Palma's the kind of place to go. If you're going for an actual holiday, then I think that's slightly different. Because you have to go and enjoy the beaches and things. And some really nice beaches and nice places to go and eat and more mountainy kind of bits in the middle. But I think most people on a cruise gonna spend the time around Palma. There is a nice beach in Palma as well. There's a really good aquarium as well. When I went, it was about 10 years ago now, but I went with someone and we went to the aquarium for half a day. It was really good. It's really well done, really fun thing. It's right next to the beach, so you can kind of combine it with the beach. Not a million miles away from the center of Palma, but I think they had a shuttle bus to kind of take us down there. I can't remember that was a while ago, but yeah, it was very nice.
Very good. So after Palma, we'll be leaving Spain and heading into France. So the first place we get to in France is Marseille, and I have a feeling I've maybe been to Marseille, but I can remember very little about it. But you have been there, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I live in France for most of the year, and Marseille is one of those kind of places that uh, yeah, you use Marseille as a jumping ball to get to other places. So the town of Marseille is nice, it's fine, but you're really there to go off and go and do sort of more exciting more sort of French things as well. So you can go off to Aix-en-Provence, which is a really beautiful town, really, really nice. Not particularly difficult to get to from there. You can kind of get there yourself on a train. You can do 'cause we dock straight in the center of Marseille. Um, or Virgin do actually do a trip where they do I think they go to a couple of different little towns, and one of them is Aix-en-Provence. which is a slightly bigger sort of town. So you can go there. Now, they also have a little tuk-tuk ride that will take you around Marseille as well. So you can jump on one of those and have a little look around Marseille itself. Uh, the French countryside is really kind of like where most people are gonna go and head off to, but there are a few so you can actually do, with Virgin Voyages, you can do a hike. So you can go up a little mountain, and that's a bit like what you've done today, is you can go up a French mountain.
No, I prefer the Spanish mountains.
You can go up there instead. Or they do actually have quite a few water sports. So you can do snorkeling, for example, one of the excursions, because the water's down there. Once you get away from Marseille itself, because it's a port town, once you get away from there and you're off more sort of down the coastline, there's some really amazing places that you can go to the beach, you can go kayaking, for example, you can go snorkeling, and these are all excursions that Virgin have that they will take you from there. Because if you're going to go from Marseille to Aix-en-Provence, you can do that. You can do that yourself on the train, but to go off somewhere else in the countryside or down a bit further down the coast, I would do that with one of the, excursions, because if you book with an excursion that Virgin have organised, so if you do book onto, a Virgin Voyages excursion, they basically if you're late coming back, the ship has to wait for you. If you have done your own thing, you've kind of gone off to some faraway place and you can't get back for whatever reason, the ship will go without you because it
Yeah,
costs them
yeah,
buying other ports a lot of money, and also
yeah.
you need to make them get into the next port as well on time as well. So yeah, they will leave you behind. It happens more in the Caribbean apparently than it is.
Yes, yeah, I think that's something that's overstated a little bit. A lot of cruise lines use this to charge extortionate prices. There are certain places where I would definitely make use of that. So, Livorno for Florence or Scadavecchio for Rome. There's no way I would go to Rome except on a cruise ship because you're like nearly 2 hours away. But in somewhere of the ports that we're going to, one of the nice things about the stays is that they're leaving relatively late. You know, a lot of them are leaving like 8 o'clock in the evening, which is quite late for leaving ports. So there's going to be very, very little risk of anybody missing the boat if they're any way careful.
Yeah, and the good thing is that, from Marseille, we don't, pretty much in the center of Marseille, it's within walking distance. Same as quite a the other ones that are coming up as well. For Palma, the cruise terminal, they just run shuttle buses between that will take you right up almost to the cathedral, sort of about a couple of 100 meters away from the cathedral. Usually is where they drop you off, and then you just go back there later on to go and get back to the ship. So we haven't kind of picked those ports at where you are sort of traveling hundreds of kilometers to get to them. So, yeah, Marseille, I think maybe go out for some lunch, have a French onion soup. Although actually it's gonna be August, so it's not the weather to have French onion soup. Go out and have a nice lunch. Get a baguette because there's nothing like French bread. Really is. They are very very good at it. And then if you want to go and do something exciting, then go and do the kayaking or snorkeling because the waters down there are sort of crystal clear, really beautiful. And once we've left Marseille, we'll be staying within France and we'll be heading down to Cannes.
Yes, and I've actually been to Cannes quite a few times on different cruise ships. It is lovely. So one of the nice things about being in Cannes is that we get tenders from the ship into the town because the shoreline, the water around the shoreline is not really deep enough for the ship to come right in. And it can be really nice. It can be a really nice thing to do just in the morning and then coming back in the afternoon. Now, if you want to go on the tender, you need to book a ticket up until about 10:30, and you get those from the shore excursions. But after 10:30, because most of the people will have left, you can just go anytime after that. When you're in Cannes itself, it's kind of one of those places that you feel as if because we've all grown up hearing about the Cannes Film Festival, and we've all grown up seeing pictures of the movie stars in the doorways of those hotels. It's a beautiful place, when you step off step off the tender, there's all these beautiful yachts, and it just oozes opulence, really. Doesn't take terribly long to see it. It's effectively one long promenade. So it's a beautiful walk. And or there's like a little, very little quaint hop on, hop off, almost like a life-size wooden train you can get that goes from one end to the other. So it's a lovely place just to have a little wander around, have a cup of very expensive coffee, and just look at the beautiful people. If you do want to go further away, and you've got maybe a few more hours to kill, then you can get the train. There's some lovely, lovely places nearby. You can get to places like Nice within 30 minutes. You can get to,
Nice.
yeah. So, but which one? Oh, very good, Martin. Very good, very good. Yeah, Nice is nice. Yes, thank you. You can get to Monaco in an hour, and Monaco is again one of these places that everyone should see at least once. It's lovely. One of the best casinos that you'll ever get into, if they will let you into it. 45 minutes will bring you to a little place called Eze. And my favorite rock band, U2, Bono and The Edge, own a house in Eze.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you might pop in August time. Who knows who you might bump into, or whether you want to spend just a few hours there, or you want to spend 10 hours getting the train to Monte Carlo or to Nice. It's a great port. You'll not forget being in Cannes.
Yeah, it is really nice there, and you could what I like is when you're on the beach, you can see the ship, and then you can go, "That's my ship. That's where I'm staying." And of course, it depends on which side you're on. If you're on port side or on the starboard side, which way obviously where the ship's facing. But you can go, "Oh, I can see my cabin from here." They're right, of course, you've got the central sea terraces cabins as well. So they're right in the centres. They're quite easy to see. They're quite easy to find.
Yes.
But like
Yeah.
right in the centre ones. So that's kind of
Yes.
right. But, yeah, I went during the film festival once, and,
Really?
unfortunately
Just
yeah, on a Virgin Voyages as well. We had
uh-huh.
overnight there. But, unfortunately, we missed, Tom Cruise by a day, and we missed Tom Hanks by a day as well. So, we didn't get to see any of those. We got to see some French celebrities, so not as exciting. But it was really cool to be in the and you could see the menus all had sellotape over where they'd cover their old prices and put
Oh, right. Yes.
little bits of vinegar. €8 off cream, is it? Okay, right. I'm sure it's not normally. It's
Yes. Yeah, so you don't want to be having it lunch maybe in Cannes. Maybe go back onto the ship for that.
yes, head back onto the ship. Is absolutely fine. But what next place we're going to? We're still within France, although sometimes the locals might dispute that, and they say actually we're our own place, but they are technically part of France, and that is Corsica. Have you been to Corsica before?
I have not been to Corsica, but I do know who was born in Corsica.
And who was born in Corsica?
Napoleon was born in Corsica.
Yeah, he certainly was, and that's one of the things you can go and do is you can go and do an excursion to go and find out all about Napoleon, about his life. Very interesting man. A massive. I mean, he's the reason why most of Europe drive on the wrong side of the road, or the other side of the road.
Yeah.
Is because of Napoleon. Because of him, and he has shaped history quite a lot. So he's a very interesting person to go and learn about his background and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, you can go and do that whilst you're in Corsica. Now, something else which is Corsica is a very nice small little island, and where we dock into is really kind of like very picturesque French kind of town scenery. So you can go around and again, you can go and get your pastries and those kind of things from the boulangerie. You're not going to see a huge amount of chain shops as well. It tends to be like a lot of smaller ones. And we might be lucky. We might actually when we dock. There's a market space there, so it might be a market day the day we dock as well. So might be that you can kind of go and go around, wander around the market and go and see all the different cheeses and flowers and all that kind of stuff.
And a few Napoleon fridge magnets.
I'm sure there's lots of Napoleon fridge magnet. You can buy those all year round. You have to go on market day to
Yeah.
find something else. But one of the really exciting things that Virgin Voyages offer, and I'm sure this is quite expensive, is you can take a helicopter ride. over Corsica. So that would be quite a cool way to see everything. Or if you're not great with heights like me, you can go out on a catamaran for the day as well. So again, these are ones that Virgin will pick you up from the port. You dock straight in literally walk straight out, and you're right in the center of the town. Um, and they take you to the catamaran, and you go off. And again, it's beautiful, crystal clear waters around the islands, and just a nice place to relax. Want to do something slightly more exciting? You could do kayaking or a jet ski. Is the other kind of things to do as well. But if not, there's plenty of sort of nice little places just to go and relax and walk around. We just kind of walked around when we were there, and just chilled out, and then went back to the ship. And I think we probably actually went.
Yeah. And of course, you were telling us there about a few of the Virgin Voyages excursions, but one of the things you'll be doing over the next couple of months is to investigate our tours that we will try and put an excursion on for each place, and you'll be trying to work out what the best option is. So we'll be trying to keep the cost as low as possible, I think, in terms of the tours, won't we? And the Virgin aren't the worst now in terms of tours, but they do tend to be quite expensive. You know,
Yeah, they're not the cheapest, but they're not the but not the most expensive by any stretch of imagination. But yeah, that we'll be sort of listening to feedback and finding out what people want to do in these kind of ports. And of course, you're completely free to just do whatever you want whilst you're in port. Stay on the ship if you want to, but we will be having a little group excursion. So maybe sort of 10, 15 of us might go off and go and do something in Corsica and various different kind of places. So you've always got something to do.
exactly. So that brings us to the last port, which was the one that we said at the beginning that we were both looking forward to the most. And that's La Spezia. So tell us why you're looking forward to it, and I'll tell you that then I'll sort of talk about why I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I think I really just love going to Italy anyway. I think it's such a nice, relaxed atmosphere, and of course, pizza and pasta is you're going to get much better at pizza and pasta whilst you're when you're in Italy. But I think it's that if you Google imaged a typical um Italian countryside, this is basically what you kind of think it's going to look like. You've got the countryside of things, and then you've got the beautiful colored houses as well, which it just looks amazing. A picture postcard place. So, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
A lot of the same things that you've just mentioned. Now, I hadn't heard this term before we went, but La Spezia is part of what they call I'm going to pronounce this very, very badly, the Cinque Terre, which I
Mm,
guess must mean something like five towns or five lands or something like
Five
five Earth. Yeah.
Celtic Earth, but I suppose lands or something like that.
And what it is apparently is it's like five little villages that are connected by this train line. So one of the things that most people do when they get to La Spezia is to get on the train. Maybe not try and visit all five because there'll be a lot of pushing and shoving and getting off on and off trains. But maybe visit three. You know, and you can get a day ticket, which I think costs about €30. You can get it online before you arrive, and that will bring you up and down those villages. If you do want to stay a bit longer, then it's the gateway to a lot of other places. So once you get to the last village on the Sanctuary, you can then get a bus, which will bring you to Portofino, which is really well worth the trip. Or you can get a train that will bring you around to Genoa. Genoa is an interesting Italian town slash city, in that it's interesting, but it's a little bit run down. You know, it's not as pretty as Florence or Rome or any of those. But if you do want to take a longer trip, you can go to Florence. It's about 2 hours, so you would need to be a wee bit careful of the time. But if you've never been to Florence, that is one of the cities that everybody should see at least once. You can also go to Pisa, which is about 90 minutes away. Pisa, I would suggest, is the opposite. Is that there's a tower which
Yeah.
leans, uh, and apart from the tower that leans, there's actually a very nice church opposite the tower that leans, but it's one of those places that's maybe not worth the effort of getting there. If you're on a bus tour, it's worth stopping at, but I don't think I would. I think if I spent 2 hours getting there and 2 hours getting back, I would be a little disappointed that to take a photograph. Yes, yes. So, but as you say, the whole area is just lovely. And as you were mentioning, Genoa has the most impressive aquarium I've ever been in. It has a very, very nice aquarium as well.
Oh, wow.
So there's lots to do that
Oh,
day.
yeah. And we
Yeah.
can compare the different aquariums of Europe.
Well, I think once you've seen one aquarium, really, you've seen them all.
They're quite similar, aren't they?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. And then, of course, we'll have a final day at sea, which we've all spoken about on another episode. So, of course, have a little listen to that and the previous episode all about sort of a day in the life at sea when you're on board the sober cruise, and then heading back to Barcelona. And Barcelona is some people are going to stay afterwards, some people are going to stay in Barcelona. Some people are going a bit further down the coast, for example. There's plenty of things to do in Barcelona. And some people are just going to fly straight home. Obviously, it depends on on what you're doing. But it's quite easy to get off the ship. I've never found it. There isn't really. You can book a particular time to get off, or you can just get off when you want to. It's entirely up to you. You put your suitcases out the night before, and then by magic, the next day they're waiting for you when you get ashore in Barcelona, so you don't have to mess around with anything. You just have a backpack that you have all your last night clothes and things like that, and then you walk off with that. But everyone, well, pretty much everyone, goes to the galley. I think first thing in the morning, have a little wander around the top deck, get in those last sort of like few minutes of being on board the ship, and then head ashore. But the great thing about Virgin is they don't really kick you off that quickly because usually you kind of have to start making your way aboard no later than 10:30, which most other ships are clear by 9:30. It's
Mm.
quarter past 9. So Virgin don't want you rushed. They want your last experience on board to be a really nice breakfast. And that is you can go together, but also the wake's open, isn't it? You can go to the wake.
It is. Yeah.
You can go and have breakfast there if you want. If you want something a bit sort of less rushed, so you can have one last steak and eggs for breakfast.
Yes, yes. And one of the things I do remember that when you get off the ship, and you go into the baggage hall, the bags, it just looks to be like a sea of suitcases. And that is actually quite well organized. That once you realize the way they've coded it, it is quite easy to find your bag. But one little tip would be to maybe tie something very colorful to the handle of your bag so you can recognize your bag. Um, Virgin will offer a coach tour, or sorry, a coach to get you to the airport. But really, I've never had a problem getting a taxi from Barcelona. So you'll probably find it quicker and cheaper just to get off the ship. And if you want it, get a taxi from there rather than do the Virgin one, unless you're getting a particularly early flight and you want to be guaranteed to get there by a particular time.
Yeah, so Virgin recommend not getting a flight before 1 o'clock, which I sort of agree with, just in case late getting into the port, whatever. But if you do take the transfer, you basically put your luggage out the night before. As far as I know, they put it onto the coach for you because they know which coach you're going on to, so you don't even have to claim your luggage. You just put it out the night before, and then next time you see it is at the airport when you pick
Yeah.
as well, which is pretty good. Same thing is if you arrive on the day, we don't usually recommend arriving on the day, but if you do decide to arrive on the day and you take Virgin's transfers, again, they're a bit more expensive, but again, you leave your luggage um, at the airport when you arrive and put it onto the coach. You don't have to take it off. They do all that kind of stuff for you. And then it's waiting for you outside your cabin a few hours later. So, you know, it is more expensive, but you don't have to carry your luggage.
Yeah. A very good point.
So as you can see, we've picked some amazing ports to visit whilst on the sober cruise. I hope you're really going to enjoy visiting these ports with us. Our favourite one we're looking forward to is going to Italy, but they've got some amazing ports in Spain and also in France to go to as well. And you know what? Maybe we'll take that helicopter ride in Corsica. Who knows? But for now, that's going to be it for this episode. Now, next time we'll be talking about one of the best things about Virgin Voyages, and that is the food, isn't that?
It is. The food is excellent. Yeah.
Yes. So we'll be talking all things dining, talking about the restaurants, we're talking about our group dining, etc., and how you go about making reservations, but also more importantly, the best places to eat on board Virgin Voyages. So thank you very much, Mark, for joining us.
You're very welcome, Martin. It's always good to see you.
And for more information, please visit the sobercruise.co.uk. If you want to book in a call with us, you can talk to us about going on the cruise. You have any questions, that kind of stuff. And you can do that once again at the sobercruise.co.uk.
And of course, as well as that, Martin, people can follow us on Instagram and follow us on Facebook. And they can also look at a fantastic website called the sobercurator.com, and where I've been writing a series of articles about our cruise experience, and they've been kind enough to publish them on there for us.
Yeah, it's a great resource, isn't it? There's lots of interesting articles on there, and of course, including your article, but there's lots of different exciting and interesting articles to read on there.
Indeed.
Excellent. Well, thank you much for listening, and we speak to you soon. Thank you much. Have a good day.